or less steps a day at the end of every day on your fitness watch, whichever one you choose, you are a very, very, very inactive human being, extremely inactive. Yo fam, Coach Sam from Strong Gents Coaching, back with another video for you guys today. And on today's episode, we're talking about why you need to wear a step tracker. All right, gents, so why is it important to wear a step tracker? It's important because you need to start being accountable to some of the data points that we have available to us in order for you to reach the results you want. The reason why I'm a fan of the step trackers, guys, is because they can really show you how active you are as a human being. A lot of people, I've been doing this for over a decade now as a personal trainer, working with people trying to get healthy, be healthy, trying to lose weight, stay in shape. A lot of people overestimate the amount of activity they do in a given day, a given week, a given month, so on and so forth. A lot of people think they do way more than they actually do, and maybe that's you. Maybe you're someone who's like, no, I definitely do a lot of movement. Well, putting a step tracker watch on, just a Fitbit or whatever, Apple Watch or whatever, anything that tracks your steps is going to be a good metric for you to see if you are an active person. Now, here's the guidelines. Here's what I've been using with clients for a very long time that seems to get the best results every single time. And it's a standard metric. If you get 5,000 or less steps a day, you are what I would consider a very inactive human being. One of the most important reasons as to why is because the watches that we wear on our wrist don't just count our steps, they count arm movement. And a lot of people who work a desk job, they will get maybe 4,000 steps a day, but they don't realize that 3,000 or at least 2,000 of those steps came from moving their arm across the desk, answering a phone, grabbing a pen, taking a sip of coffee, dragging their sweatshirt from one side to the other side, walking down the hallway, which is good. But in general, the step tracker doesn't track just steps, it tracks movement, which is great. That's what we want. But you also have to understand that just because you have gotten 5,000 steps, let's say, it doesn't mean they were all from walking. Doesn't mean they were all from really intense activity. It's probably a few thousand from just moving your arm back and forth to grab a pen, so on and so forth. So if you have 5,000 or less steps a day at the end of every day on your fitness watch, whichever one you choose, you are a very, very, very inactive human being, extremely inactive. If you have between 8,000 and 10,000 or 7,500 and 10,000, you are what I would consider a moderately active human being. You're actually getting up and walking around. Maybe you're pacing while you're on a phone call. Maybe you're walking back and forth long distances in the parking lot throughout the store. Maybe you're not sitting down all day at work. Maybe you have a more of an intensive job where you're on your feet all day. Whatever the case may be, if you're getting between like 7,500, really 8,000 to 10,000 or 11,000 steps, you're a moderately active human being. Now, if you're getting between 10 and 15,000 steps a day, you are a pretty active person, okay? The average person walks about 5 miles with 10,000 steps. That's the average. Some people got longer legs, some people got faster strides. That's the average. That's what shows up on Google when you search that. So that's a decent amount of movement. That means if you're getting 10,000 to 15,000 steps a day, you are moving. If you have phone calls all day, that means for 70% of them, you've been pacing back and forth. That means you have a job where you're walking a lot. Okay, and if you have more than 15,000 steps a day, you're someone who is extremely active. You're someone who maybe even does a workout every day. You did cardio that day as well. Now you can add that into a 10,000 stepper a day too. Some people who get 10,000 steps a day maybe walk 6,000, but they did cardio in the morning for 30 minutes, so now they are at 10,000 for the entire day, which is important to note that if you're someone who's trying to lose weight, you know, one of the important metrics to track is how much you're moving. Because if you're not moving a lot, if you're someone who's in that 5,000 step in less a day metric, you need to address your physical activity. That means that you need to prioritize more movement. So you're someone who would benefit from scheduling a cardio session, from scheduling an activity, especially if you're someone who also doesn't just work out in general. Like if you're someone who does like a high intensity interval training workout, you're gonna probably accumulate 2,000-3,000 steps in that workout. So let's say you walk 5,000 steps that day, but then you had a high intensity and you're jumping around, moving your arms and you're moving it in a few different spots, probably accumulate 2,000 more steps. So now you're at 7,000. So puts you in that like moderately active zone, which is pretty good. But you know, if you're someone who doesn't exercise a lot, you're not doing these high intensity movements, you're going to the gym, lifting some weights, which you'll probably accumulate another 1,500 while lifting some weights, which is fantastic. But if you're low on movement, you're someone who should benefit from scheduling a 30-minute walk every single morning or every single night, or at least 3 days a week, so you can gain some more activity. Now, I use the Fitbit. I've been using the Fitbit for years, but I've also used other watches. I've used the Apple Watch for a few years, Garmin for a few years. I like the Fitbit. I think it's super simple. The battery lasts all day long. I'm not affiliated with them by any means, but it's just a simple tracker. Now, just so you guys have an understanding, there is no 100% accurate watch or device out there. It's just not. They're all inaccurate, but it doesn't matter because the number that you're going to get on the watch is the metric we're going to use because it's going to be consistent if you wear that watch for a long period of time. It doesn't matter what it is. So for example, the Apple Watch you might wear a watch on your left and right hand, and the Apple Watch might say that you walk 3,000 steps and the Fitbit might say you walk 3,500, vice versa. Who knows? I don't care if wearing the same watch for a long period of time, the data is going to tell us the truth, okay? It doesn't matter if it's not 100% accurate. It's still accurate for what we have available to us with the variables that we've been given, and we can adjust from what we have. Now, the Fitbit for me is the best, easiest to use. You slap that thing on, turn all the notifications off, just wear it as a fitness device. You can track your workouts if you want. I wouldn't get too crazy about it, but it does track your sleep and stuff like that. But you really need to get yourself a fitness watch and be accountable. I can't tell you. So I've been doing this for, I've been doing this for over a decade now. And I have this bet with some clients, not all of them, but some of them, who I really want to get a step tracker. I'm like, listen, okay, if you walk more than 10,000 steps a day, because here's the thing, a lot of people come to my office and I'm like, listen, I think we need to increase our activity. And they're like, I'm telling you, Sam, I'm telling you, I walk 10,000 steps a day. And I'm like, we don't know because there's nothing to track that data. So like, I'm going to take your word for it, but I would like to see that data, right? Like I would like to really see if you walk 10,000 steps a day. And people will sit in my office and they'll be like, I'm telling you, I walk 10,000 steps a day. My day is crazy. Like I don't need a watch to show me that I walk 10,000 steps a day because I'm positive I do. And I'm like, well, I'll make a bet with you. If you buy a Fitbit, okay, and you get over 10,000 steps on average for the entire week, I'll pay for the Fitbit. I have not paid for one Fitbit. Why? Because people tremendously overestimate the amount they move. I actually had one person, one of my clients, she really was sold on the fact that she walks 10,000 steps a day. And for the longest time, she wanted to get a watch. She finally got a watch. She was under 5,000 steps a day. She couldn't believe it. I was like, you think you accumulate a lot of activity? You don't. And I know this because I'm a very active human being. I know what my daily steps are. I know what my average is for the week. So I compare that to other people who I understand have a different life than me. And I know the amount of effort it takes to get a certain amount of steps. And I compare myself, and almost every single time I'm like, guys, I know exactly how your life is. It is nothing compared to mine because I have an active job. That's not saying I'm better or anything like that because I move more. It's just my circumstances are different. I don't have to necessarily go out and schedule to get 10,000 steps. It just happens way more than that on a daily basis. But I know when people don't move a lot, just by working with them and them describing their lifestyle to me, I understand where their range is. I'm usually correct every single time, just because I've been doing this for so long. But I've learned that people overestimate how much they move. So gaining a step tracker is going to be a good data point for you guys, because if you're someone who's struggling to lose weight, there's two things that are possible when you're struggling to lose weight, okay? You can reduce your food or increase your activity. And a lot of people choose to reduce their food to a very low extent, and they can't sustain that for a long period of time. So what's better is to reduce the food slightly and increase activity slightly. And we could do that in a very easy way. You don't need to do high intensity workouts. You don't need to kill yourself 6 days a week in the gym. That's gonna leave you burned out. You don't need to do 1,200 calorie diets all the time, all day, every day for years and years and years, because that's gonna burn you out. You're gonna binge. You're gonna just reverse everything eventually when you start eating in and gain all your weight back. So what's a smarter way? Smarter way is to clean up your eating, one, but also do an activity that can be done all the time, anytime, without the repercussions of burning out, being sore, and getting overwhelmed. And that's walking and in setting a goal. So get a step tracker, a watch, a fitness watch, and see how many steps you get a day, and then add 2,000 to that. If you're getting 5,000, your new goal is 7,000. If you're getting 3,000, your new goal is 5,000. Do that for a month and then increase it another 2,000 until then you get to that in that moderate range. At least try and shoot for 10,000 steps a day. I know we hear that all the time, 10,000 steps, but 10,000, like I said earlier, equates to an average of 5 miles, which is a pretty decent amount of movement. The average person burns between 100 and 150 calories per mile walked at a brisk pace, so you're walking decently fast. But let's just just say it's on the low side and it's 100 calories, right? Well, if you burn 100 calories per mile and you walked a total of, or you moved technically, in quotations, moved a total of 5 miles a day, well, you burn an extra 500 calories a day. That's extremely important because let's say you needed 1,400 calories deficit to lose weight. Okay, but you ate 1,900 that day, but you burned 500. Well, guess what? Now you're at that 1,400 mark that you were striving to get to in order to lose weight, so you keep the train rolling. So activity, low intensity activity done all the time is a great way to increase your chances at losing weight without having severe burnout and without having to starve yourself. Okay, so I'm a huge fan of this, but it can be low intensity. It could be walking. Okay, so a good way to get these steps, especially if you're someone who has a desk job, right? Like if you're someone who has a desk job and you can't get up and you don't have a physical job, you're not moving at all, schedule a walk first thing in the morning. Incline treadmill walk if you have one at home, or just go outside and walk. All you need is a pair of shoes and your own 2 legs. It's free. All you gotta do, you can do it anytime, anywhere, but doing it in the morning is the best because you get it over with. You set the standard for the day. You wake up, you go outside, you do your 20 to 30 minute walk, you get 3,000 to 5,000 steps or however many steps it's going to be in that 20 minutes. And then that adds to your total for the day. So let's say you normally get 4,000, but you did a 20-minute walk in the morning and you got 3,000 steps. Now you're at 7,000 for the day. That accumulation over the week is a lot more energy burned. And that's what we're after. We're after the average for the week, the month, the year, so on and so forth. That's how weight loss happens is the averages, right? So the average for the week, the average for the month, that's what we're looking for. It's not just the day, it's the average, right? So let's say, we want an average for the week of, let's say, 10,000 steps a day. That means the week we have to get 70,000 steps. So let's say on day 1, you got 5,000, but day 2, you got 15,000. At least our average is 10,000. We're getting 10,000 a day, right? Like, well, it'll be 20,000 at the end of those 2 days. So now we're at our 10,000 mark for 2 days, and then we just need to continue that for 7 days to get our 70,000 steps. So it's the averages, but the watch helps you understand where you're at. It keeps you accountable. And you'll be checking it. It'll be an incentive to move more, which is good. I have some clients who put the watch on and they're like, oh, now that I'm wearing the watch, I tend to move a lot more. I'm like, yeah, no shit, okay? Because you realize how little you did move. So get the watch, remember those metrics. 5,000 or less, you're extremely inactive. Okay, between 7,500 and 10,000, you're getting more active. You're a moderately active human being. Anything 10 to 15, you're very active, and anything over that, you're doing a lot of exercise and you're moving all day long, similar to me, because I get over 15,000 steps every single day because of my job and my activity. But why should you listen to me, gents? Because I've been a personal trainer for a decade and counting, helping countless people achieve their health and fitness goals. But not only this, I'm an ex-ultra marathon runner, obstacle racer, and powerlifter. And I did all this with a rare connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. If I can do this stuff, you could do this stuff. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share this video, gents. Don't forget, the motto here is train your life to change your life, because I truly believe you can train small aspects of your life every single day to see a grand positive result in the future. Peace.